This right here is a 1963 Ford F100. Come on. This might be a long drive. Oh, there we go. Oh, now we're getting some going. It drives nice. Seems to steer pretty bad. Okay, so the engine just died. Well, unfortunately, we didn't make it that far. I think we made it a mile. So we're going to hook up a ratchet strap around this thing and tow it home. So not too long ago, I thought I might try to drive this truck home, just 9 miles, back to the garage. About a mile outside of town, I was found on road dead. We were towing the truck back to the garage. Here it is sat for a little while now, under cover of course, under the cover of trees. As you can see, we got our fall decorations on the truck already, and it was a good yard ornament for a little bit, but it is a yard ornament no more. For we are bringing it into the garage to finally figure out what the heck happened. I kind of have a pretty good idea on what happened, but we'll delve into it. Probably has something to do with the carburetor. And honestly, I can't wait to start working on this project. There are so many thoughts and ideas, and after I did my research on this particular truck, we've got something pretty cool here. This is not just a regular Ford F100. This is a special Ford F100 in my opinion. So let's go ahead and get into the garage. Before we get too far in the video, I wanted to make sure that you all knew that it's 100% free to subscribe to your favorite channels here on YouTube. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and like the video, comment where you're watching from, and without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into what this truck has to offer and maybe some of its history. Straight off the bat, look at that patina. I think this thing looks pretty darn good. I don't think I'm going to change anything with the patina on this truck aside from just cleaning up what I've got, shining up what paint is left. What do you think? Is this a good amount of patina or is this too much patina? This driver door, just like the Chevy, massive dent on the side. It's like, geez, what is going on here? All these classic cars seems to get a nice sized dent on their driver doors. So, but I think we can fix this one. At least we're going to try to fix it. I'd much rather fix it instead of just getting a replacement. On the passenger side of the truck, it has the same situation, but on the fender. I mean, look at that. Holy cow. And it's all the way creased in. But we're going to try to repair as much of this as we can. I like to try to repair parts like this, especially body parts. If it could be fixed, if we can get it to bend back out, get it back to at least somewhat decent, I'd much rather do that than buy brand new parts, because this material here is super strong, super tough. That makes it hard to repair sometimes, but honestly, it was just a much better material than what we have today. A lot of the material today is a lot thinner, not as robust. This stuff right here is some stout stuff. Continuing down the side of the truck, we've got some GVW stickers, which are incorrect. This truck is only rated from factory for 5,000 pounds, but these are 6,000 pounds. So if you know why that is, let me know, because I find that to be interesting. That also plays into the history of this truck that I'm going to tell you here in a little bit, so make sure you stick around because this truck has some awesome history. Back here on the bed, this is the worst spot. That rust hole right there and this dent. You can see that it's also missing its heavy-duty agriculture bumper. It had diamond plate bumper that would have come all the way up to here. You can see the scratch from where it sat and then the bolt hole, and then it would have gone all the way across the back. But aside from that spot right there, the bed's in pretty decent condition, aside from our corners here. And especially, look at that. I love when they put spare tires on the sides of the trucks like that. What do you think? Do you like the side spare tires or do you prefer them underneath the bed? On our tailgate here, we've got some interesting stuff. We've got some old bumper stickers, some local radio stations, the Independent Oil Man, a vanishing breed from Dallas Pipe and Supply. I wonder if there's any more of those around. I'd love to try to find some of these old bumper stickers. Maybe not to put them back on the truck, but at least to have them around. around. And here's where the bumper stickers tell a story. We've got these bumper stickers right here. The energy makes America work and save the reach. Like I said, this truck has some serious history. Its previous owner worked at a nuclear facility in the area that has ties with the Manhattan Project. So if you're interested in World War II or even anything from the atomic era, you're definitely gonna wanna hear the history on this little truck and my own speculation on what this truck might have been before it got here to the garage. Some of that evidence I think is right here on the driver door. I know it doesn't look like much. These little pock marks right here, I went through and kind of checked out to see if we could get any letters off of it, and it almost seems like that this is a spot where a vinyl decal was. If you've ever had to remove vinyl decals, every time we were removing them, the blade always gets stuck in the paint and picks it off just a little bit, for like, especially if the decals have been on there for a while. And right where this one's positioned, it just seems like it's supposed to say something, especially with how straight across those pock marks are. I might be really reaching there, I don't know, but with the history of this thing and where it came from, I wouldn't be surprised. But before we get into that, let's check underneath the hood and see what kind of engine we've got in this thing. So this thing has the 223 inline six in it. Definitely not a powerhouse, but I have heard it's a torque monster. And it does look pretty darn clean. Looks like we might have a new fuel pump, new fuel line. It looks pretty clean. A lot of times these are just caked up with grease and such, but I'm also noticing that orange film there, that's make a gasket or gasket maker. So that would mean that oil pan has either been removed because it was leaking or something else was going on in the engine. So we've got a little bit of a picture being painted right here with what we can see. All around, for what it is, a very clean engine bay. Even all the way down to the wiring. It still has this little Ford tags on it. That one even still says Ford. 63 years and this thing still looks like it came off the showroom floor, minus the dust. You know what I mean. But another thing on this whole engine here is this little piece right here that I am not sure what it is. So if you know what this is, this little tube situation on the side of the engine right in front of the bell housing, let me know. I've done quite a bit of research on this little engine to figure out what that is, and I've only ever seen it on other engines, but I've never found out what exactly it is. Now I do know that the 223 is an engine that's used in a lot of things, so is it something just on the engine for whatever they wanted to use it for, or is it specific to the Ford F100? Is it something for this particular setup for the 223? Let me know. Before we go and check out the cab of the truck, which is what I've been waiting to check out ever since I brought this home, because I've wanted to share that with you, like kind of like unwrapping a Christmas present, right? Checking out what's the condition of the seat, what's under the seat, what's in the glove box, everything like that, what's behind the seat. I wanted to save all that so that I could share it with you. But before we get into that, let's check out some of the history with this old truck. In 1943, in the middle of World War II, the United States built something in the desert along the Columbia River that was never meant to be seen. It was called Hanford. Created as part of the Manhattan Project, its purpose was simple and terrifying: to produce plutonium for a new kind of weapon. The plutonium used in the Trinity test, and later, the bomb dropped on Nagasaki, came from here. Towns were emptied, workers arrived by thousands. Most never knew what they were building. They were told it mattered, they were told to stay quiet, and they did. When the war ended, Hanford didn't disappear. It just kept going. As the Cold War began, the site ran day and night through the 1950s and into the early 1960s. Guarded roads cut through the desert, fences, warning signs, routines that never stopped, ordinary people doing extraordinary work, almost entirely in silence. Hanford is still here today. The reactors are quiet now, but the site remains active, focused on cleanup and containment. It is still one of the most secure places in the country, a reminder that what happened here never truly ended. Hanford is living history. And that's where this truck comes in. I was told the original owner worked at Hanford, driving this truck to and from Richland every day. Morning after morning, it carried him into a place most Americans never saw, and back home again at night. Look closer, and the truck starts to raise questions. Faint shapes on the doors, like something was once there and carefully removed. Stickers that feel more official and personal. Records show it was sold through a regular dealership in Fargo, North Dakota, not under a government contract. But during the Cold War, agencies like the Atomic Energy Commission often bought trucks that way, then quietly sold them off. So there are two possibilities. Either this was once a government truck that later became personal, or it was a personal truck that simply went to work at Hanford every day. But either way, this truck mattered. It traveled the same roads. It waited behind the same fences. It carried someone into one of the most secretive and consequential places in American history during one of the most uncertain times the world has ever known. This truck doesn't need proof stamped into steel. It was there, and sometimes that's enough. Now for inside the truck. I have been waiting to do this ever since I brought it home, and I really wish that you could smell the way this thing smells, because it's got a range. It's got several decades of smell going on in here, but we do have the 4-speed. We've got the T98 Borg Warner in it, which also means that we could get a PTO for this truck, and I'd love to be able to do that. But we do have the granny low first gear, really low second gear. This thing might hit about 50 miles an hour on a good day with a good backwind. We've got the original AM radio, which is not a transistor radio. This thing actually has little tubes in it. You turn it on, you have to wait for it to warm up, and then it finally gives you some audio. We should open the glove box and see if there's anything in there, but there's all these lucky stickers, these clover stickers all over the place. Like there's a couple up here, there's some on the back window, and then there's some, I don't know what those were. We got a rainbow. It's all pretty decent in here, but here's where things start to get a little bit interesting. Now, this is just a standard cab truck. Nothing fancy until you look at this seat. This seat and how its weave is right here and its color combination. These seats were only ever in custom cab trucks, but I don't see anywhere in here where it says custom cab on the truck. So I find that just to be a little bit interesting. But now we can finally go through the underneath, behind, and whatever's going on here with this quilt on the seat. All right, let's unwrap this gift here. Oof. Well, our seat is definitely well used. These are not original. These are like 1970s or 80s seat belts. Our seat is not in the best condition as opposed to what we had in the Chevy. Let's go ahead and check behind the seat. All of this is really nice right here. And so far behind the seat, all we've got is a pen and a bunch of dirt. Let's see what we find under here. I'm not seeing a whole lot of much. What about you? Are you seeing anything? Well, sometimes there's just all kinds of fun stuff under the seat. It's a bummer that there's not this time, but it is what it is. Let's hope the glove box has something interesting in it. Darn, I was hoping for like an old owner's manual or something, but we do have something in here. Wix filters, a fuel filter. Is it new or old? Old, oh my gosh. It's got junk in it too. We might need to clean the fuel tank because that is no bueno. But this guy. Anything in there? Hello? Nope, nothing. Well, so there you have it. That's pretty much the inside of the cab so far. It's relatively clean in here. No, it's not. I just sat down and the seat coughed at me. Oops. I'm already breaking stuff. I need to get out of here. So aside from the cool, interesting little stickers, a plastic gun rack, an I voted sticker, and I'm glad this thing still has its headliner. That's kind of cool. But anyway, apart from that, I can go ahead and show you how it runs right now before we even get started on anything, because you should experience how this thing runs. So as you can see, it doesn't run too bad. And so it's misleading. It runs fine, needs a valve adjustment, and then it starts to flood itself out. There you have it. That's what it started doing when I was driving it back. If I let it sit here for a second, it will fire right back up. So I wouldn't say that the carburetor is having adjustment issues, but I think it's this little piece right here, this little guy. This is the needle seat There's a little brass bushing inside of here. And I'm thinking, since this one's in my hand, when a rebuild kit was done on this truck before I got it, that part wasn't replaced. So that's the mystery right now. Why won't this thing run right? And why is this Holley 1904 dumping fuel down the Venturi? It is something that they do though. So the Holley carburetor does do that. And most of the time when it does that, it means it needs a rebuild, a complete rebuild. I'm just hoping I don't have to get a new carburetor for it because I'd like to try to use what we have here. Sometimes you just gotta buy new parts. Now we can figure out why it doesn't run right. Oh, and on top of that, while it is running, check this out. Once when it's finished, see that wetness there? Completely forgot about this. This is also what tells me that it needs a carburetor rebuild. You see how it's leaking right out that shaft there? I had a Volkswagen that did that, and I ended up having to get a whole brand new carburetor for it. I do have some extra 1904s laying around, so we're gonna have to play around and see what we can do to make this truck run great and be reliable. That's another important thing to do. So this is our next project here at the garage. I hope you all enjoy it. I hope you all are as excited as I am about it because it is such a cool history, doesn't it? So I think that's something that will be definitely very interesting. And on top of that, should I put Atomic Energy Commission door things on it or just, you know, leave it as it is? Another idea that I had, and this is after we get it running, mobile bar. Anyway, I want to thank you all so much for stopping by the garage today and for checking out this new project that we've got here. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas. And speaking of Christmas, I'm recording this on Christmas Eve. So Merry late Christmas. I will see you all right back here at the garage in the next video.